Hey, how's it going, everyone? It is Thursday, April 11th, and let's get right into the pick from the last video, which was BA day trade short. So when I took the trade yesterday, BA had just made a new low of the day, and let's put the SPY side-by-side comparison over here. Had a made new low day at 11:35, and we got this smackdown over here, this rejection from VWAP. So VA was looking pretty good, and I didn't think this 1OP bullish cycle would really get anything going over here. So VA starts to go down, it's looking pretty good, and then here is I think our first warning sign. Starting to lose a little bit of steam here because the market makes a new low of the day. We get a strong reaction over here back into the range, and then a strong move back down into the range. So I believe that, or actually this was okay because we got a little bit of a pop here, but we still get these little pops back to the EMA. And then this is actually where I took profits on the trade. So I got in around 73.43, and then you got at around 172.72. So about 80 cents of profit. And the reason is that, one, our market bias was was mildly bearish, and then to me, after this, it shifted to neutral. I just had absolutely no idea what the market was going to do at this juncture, and I needed this stock to do the work. Now, BA was doing pretty well, but you can see it's starting to lose its steam. It's starting to gain relative strength. It's not really resisting this market move. So I thought, let me get to the sidelines. Let me take some profits. I'm going to set an alert on BA. So if it looks like I was wrong and it continues to perform, then I can jump back into the stock and continue to do well. But that was a trade, so it was a pretty nice win. I want to just do a comparison on this point over here. So if we look at something like CVS, right, where it's holding the gains a lot better, it's still kind of moving down. Even something like AAL yesterday. Here's the volatility. If we put up the SPY overlay, you can see that it's going just absolutely sideways up and down, and AAL is completely ignoring this. So this is a type of price action that I would have want to see in BA in order for me to stay in that trade, right? It's really dropping on the moves down, and it's not budging on these moves up. That tells you that the trend is strong. And at the end of the day, right, when the trend starts to weaken, AAL is now gaining some relative strength. Okay, a little bit of a double bottom over here. You can take profits near the low of the day. You got a nice move in your hands. So I want to see this type of price action versus kind of the lack of steam that we saw in BA earlier or in our trade. But regardless, that's a nice win. I think I think everything was pretty solid. I had a good plan. I had good expectations. I knew what I wanted to add. I liked my exit. It ended up being a very good exit. You can see how the stock had a bit of a reversal later in the day. The only thing I would change is probably the entry. My entry was decent. I like this little compression break after the 8 EMA, but I'd rather get in somewhere a little bit earlier in the day if I could, because BA was showing some nice signs of weakness. And as soon as I think we got some follow through on this gap move over here at 1050, this is a bit of a mindset mistake. I was kind of like, I don't really know. I'm not sure about this bar here, this tail. I was kind of unsure. And, really that, and you could say, hey, you made profit on the trade, but I lost out on $1 because of my uncertainty on taking this setup. So I like this setup on VA. And, we'll see how, might be something setting up today. We're going to see what the market does, but that was a nice win. So let's take a look at the market now. Again, we're going to start long-term fundamental, long-term technical, short-term technical. We're going to go through the whole list. Fundamentally, nothing has changed from yesterday. So I think I talked about it pretty extensively yesterday in terms of the rate cuts. The basic story that I'm seeing is that Fed has been hawkish the whole time. Market was pricing in rate cuts far more dovish than what the Fed was saying. And they're finally starting to get more on the same page. And this price action is the confirmation that they're getting a little bit more on the same page. So that's what we're seeing fundamentally. On a technical basis, we know that the rally is slowing down. And look, the market has gone flat in the past month, right? The net movement has been zero. We're below the 8 EMA. We're below our 8 VWAP-Q. We're still above the SMAs, which is nice on a technical level. We know that they're probably gonna. We expect them to act as support, and that's kind of the first level I'm looking at over here on a technical basis. But my long-term technical bias is maybe mildly bullish. The only thing that's sort of keeping me a little bit bullish is that we have earnings coming up, and we have a bid through earnings. We've kind of gone through the CPI and the PPI, so there's not going to be a whole lot of major economic news for the rest of the month that really moves the market. So now we've kind of gotten through the speed bumps. We've, taken the volatility that comes with that. I think we could see a potential bid towards earnings, coming up for the rest of April. So we'll see. If earnings end up being pretty poor, then that's when we could get that dip. If they end up being pretty good, then we could get some nice movement, at least to the upside. We could maybe even break the high of the year, but it seems now that this is acting as a little bit more stiff resistance, because it's been established more over time, right? It's not just one poke here, one poke here. We got a couple of pokes at this level, so I think it's pretty significant. On a shorter term time frame, let's look at what's been happening in the market. So this is just what's happening in the last couple of days. You can see that wide ranges, big drops down, some decent drops up, big drops down, decent drops up, and now we're just been compressing near the support around 513. And if we zoom in a little bit more, past couple of days, we're just in this meat grinder mode, right? Like, we had this big drop. Buyers and sellers are just fighting it out. There's not really a lot of movement either way. The net movement has been 0. So there's not a lot of market tailwind. I think it's a little bit at a juncture, I would say, because we are at this D1 support level. We zoom back out again. You can see that this low right here, 512, right? We have a low here, 512, another low here, 512. So around this 512, this 513 level, there's support over here. And that is coming into play. And I believe that now that we're through some of these major news catalysts, I don't think we'll have quite enough firepower to get through this level. So if we do, I think it'll take in the form of some big red candles maybe. Really want to blow through that level, and I think then we have a shot at the SMA. I think we're just really a one red day away from the SMA. It's fairly close, but I do view that as a more unlikely scenario right now. So if I'm a swing trader, I am really remaining sidelined. I think there may be a time to put on some put credit spreads. I think that could work, especially if my personal bias is we might have a little bit of a bid into earnings. So if we sort of hold this level here, I think, and we get some movement where we're able to get at least above the prior day high over here, I'd feel comfortable selling some put credit spreads in the market if we are actually able to get above this little compression that we've had for the past 2 days. The other scenario is that if we have a drop and then we actually get a pullback and then we get a strong move up, then that would be an even more. I'd even be more confident in selling the credit spreads and maybe take a bigger size on those because I got the drop that I wanted to get. So I think put credit spreads could be a nice option. If you're able to sell some naked puts, again, wait for the drops, wait for those IVs to spike, and that could also be a pretty nice option to get some passive income. But other than that, I think you should be more on the sidelines. We know we're in a transition period, and I think shorter term day trading is going to be a lot more viable, and it will mitigate a lot of risk. So let's zoom in on what is happening today. I saw the tech sector to be pretty strong today, and if we put up QQQ, you can see how it's really at its high of the day, and it's been, had a poke earlier. It started to rally earlier, I believe. Look, 10:20, so it started to rally. Well, I guess the same time, so maybe not earlier. But QQQ is getting some strength. The daily chart is a very, very horizontal, choppy move. It's been pretty flatline for a while, but this is a pretty nice move intraday. I saw the mega cap tech stocks were generally pretty strong today. A lot of sectors were weak, so I think that's what was dragging down the market initially, but the strength in tech, right? Tech is so weighted in the SPY index that it was kind of able to, to hold well, and now I think it's helping drive the market up a little bit. There was a lot of breadth in this move, and that's kind of what I saw today, that if RSP is down a lot, right, but it's lower than SPY, that means that there's a lot of breadth on the downside. A lot more sectors are weak relative to SPY, and the few sectors that are strong end up being tech, so that's why it sort of balances out in that way. So on a market components level, I was like slightly bearish. I'm like, look, a lot of sectors are down, right? So that's not the best thing, but if tech is strong, then I know tech is the one that's going to lead the charge up. Tech is always kind of the first. It really seems like it begins the rallies, and then once it gets, at a high enough valuation that institutions feel, then they start to maybe take some profits on tech and they start allocating it to other industries. So I want to keep an eye on tech here. If it starts to rally, I think that would be a bullish leading indicator for the market. We're going to zoom in now into what's happening on an intraday level on SPY. So got a PPI that happened pre-market. So pre-market, we were down a little bit. We were testing this 512 support level. Positive reaction to PPI, which came in line. It was like maybe a little bit hot, like by 0.1%. That is the wrong button. But pretty much in line. So we had that reaction, and then we smacked it back down, and then right back in the middle. So I think really seems like a non-reaction, which is good. I think PPI has caused some movement in the past, I think 2 or 3 releases intraday. So to me, it really hasn't been a market mover before that, because once CPI comes out, it's kind of, the expectations are always kind of set for PPI, right? So it's like, hey, if inflation's hot for CPI, it's probably going to be hot for PPI. So we had that. We got the gap down. We filled it on some long red candles. So that's a nice move earlier in the day. We tested this level, and we had this 1OP bullish cross, and we knew we had a major D1 support level. So I don't think you would have really wanted to sell at this stage. You really want to see us crack through this juncture, right? We can't just poke at this low, like really just smack through it and get some velocity. So we poked this level, and now we're getting a pretty decent bounce through VWAP, through the high of the day. This was a bearish 1OP cross, and now it's starting to diverge. So we're getting this decent move up, which is making me a little bit more bullish. So coming into the day, I was kind of over here. I saw this move to VWAP. I like, all right, we're compressing around VWAP. Maybe we could get a leg lower, but I just felt that the risk-reward profile on the downside isn't that favorable, because we're pretty much right at support. So if we crack down, we crack down, but my only bet is that we crack down, and I don't think that's going to happen, as I mentioned before, because we don't have the catalyst to really do it. We're kind of through all these major economic releases for the time being. So I like the upside move better, but I also can't get in too early on the upside, right? Because if I say, hey, maybe I think there's going to be upside over here, right? I haven't really confirmed any support at this level, right? We could still break through. Now, even though I feel it's unlikely, it would just be getting in too early on the move. So that's why you kind of lay out your scenarios. So this move right here, it does make me a little bit mildly bullish. We're getting through VWAP. There's been a nice, pretty orderly price action. I think it's going to be a range-bound day. I think we're going to probably challenge the high of the day and then, probably get smacked down. So I'm really feeling a range-bound day. This is a nice opportunity through VWAP. We're holding this level. We could challenge the high of the day, and then depending on how we challenge it, it would really tell me to see if I want to take profits or expect a breakout. If we do get a breakout, I'm not expecting it to really have a lot of follow through, because we've had choppy conditions. So I'm leaning towards a range-bound day, and if the stock's doing pretty well, it's performing, I may be willing to take some heat on a move down, depending on what the market does. But like I said, I think this is going to be a range-bound day. So, nice entry points, bull-wise, kind of in the middle of the range, and look to take profits at the top of the range. And then if you start to see some resistance over here for the day, then you can start to get in on some really nice day trading shorts. So intraday bias right now is mildly bullish. I'd put myself at a 1. And I've outlined the scenarios that would really cause me to change the bias. If we get some heavy selling, right, blast through this high of the day, that would get me pretty bullish. If you get some heavy buying to the upside, very heavy selling to the downside. If we get a more organized move, that would still get me pretty bullish, and as well as on the downside. And then Ritz over here is a pretty wimpy move. So the nice thing is we've had a long duration, and we're above VWAP, which is nice. And there does seem to be a little bit more green candles than red candles. Not a ton of red candles, but there are a lot of tails and wicks. So this gives me a little bit of confidence that buyers have the ball and they have control for the time being. So with all that in mind, let's see if we can get a nice pick over here. So one pick that I liked initially, and I'm not sure if it's going to be holding up very well right now, was lift. So if you remember, actually, we took the L on our lift swing. From over here, I took the L on the bounce up as a test of the gap because my market bias had shifted, and lift was already doing pretty weak. I didn't think it would really make a decent move back up. So lift today, I liked this setup on the open. You can see this nice long green candle, pretty weak pullback, and then we broke it to the upside and then started to grind higher. So I liked what I was seeing here at 11:15, but we had a 1OP bearish cross. We know that there was some selling pressure, so I figured, let me wait to see what the bear cycle brings on the stock. If I'm wrong about this, then I got in a bad trade. And the lift isn't insanely strong, right? It's not stacking. It's not really grinding up as organized. It's a decent grind up, so I know that'll probably pull back a little bit and I'll get a better entry point. So I was liking lift earlier in the day. This was a pretty nice price action. Looks like it's struggling to kind of fill in this gap a little bit on the D1. There's a gap fill right here. There's definitely some was support, now resistance, so that might be coming into play on the stock. I did see some more stocks on the selling side than the buying side, and I'm trying to really see, like, Toast is pretty nice, has a decent move today. Yeah, this is really moving, and you can see that it wasn't a huge gap up. We move up, we compress a little bit, move up, compress a little bit, move up, and then we compress a little bit. So I do like what I'm seeing in Toast. I wouldn't feel too bad entering it. Let me just double check this D1 here. You can see that there's some resistance over here at this level, but we have some room for there, at least for a day trade. This high over here from the 4th, I'm not too crazy about that, but I think it's from the market. I don't think it's from the stock. So let's see if I put up the SPY overlay. Yeah, I mean, it was lift. If it was not lift, Toast is doing its job. It really tried. Market was just too weak. So that could be a level where, hey, maybe we expect a pause or something, right? Maybe we, maybe expect a speed bump, but I think that's more market related and not stock related. So I don't think I'm too worried about that level. But I like Toast. It's pretty orderly. I think it's a pretty good M5 chart. It's not the best M5 chart, but it is pretty nice. D-Dog was looking pretty good. It had a nice breakout, but there's not a ton of momentum over here. Nike has been very, very weak on the daily, so I'm not looking to trade that. What I've been liking to do is, there's been new templates that they released in the new update. And what I've done is I've created a D1 template and an M5 template. And if you notice that the searches are either D1 or M5, right? So I know that Green Royal Flush, these stocks are going to have pretty good D1s. So I already know they're going to have good D1s. I really just want to see how they're doing on an M5 level. And then I can try to get in on the best picks. Like AVGO, for example. Hey, this is a pretty nice move today. It is in a bit of a compression. I think it actually sets up pretty well for put credit spread. I think Harry was talking about that. But I can see how they're doing intraday. And what I've done is just say, okay, VWAP, outside day, is there relative strength? Is there a trade signal? I'm trying out these 1OP trade signals. Is there any HA continuation? I'm using this compression column as a divider column. And then I sort of have my M5 events. So what's the LRSI state? Is there any HA reversals? Are there any key bars? Are there any breakouts? Is it at the high of the day? And then I have volume, and then I like to see the range and the volatility. So I like stocks that are green in the range and they have pretty good volatility. So the volatility for SPY is not crazy, but you know, stocks that have, like, for example, AZN, this volatility is 182. So I know that this stock has made some moves today, and it certainly has. There's certainly some news going on here, and I'm certainly not going to be trading it today. Google has a, oh yeah, let's look at Google. So we have a key bar, we got a high of the day breakout. Let's see what's going on in Google. Yeah, this is I like Google actually right here. So it's not, it's a pretty decent pick. So here's what I like. Long green candle above the priority high. Now we test the breakout and we hold, and now we're kind of grinding higher this entire time. And we're making a new high of the day. Now the other thing I'm watching for over here is that we have this high around 58.64, 58.60. So, you know, that could be a speed bump. Again, I think that is this April 9th. So this might be a market related move. This is also Google at a new all-time high. So there's not a ton of room in this, but I do think it's a pretty decent day trade. And what I like is we have a D1 chart. There's certainly some room. I think I don't love this candle. I really don't, but I think there is some space to get something going here on Google. Market's really, it's kind of moving up over here. We might get a move up. I actually don't like these long green candles on these chop days because I think they're going to be smacked down. So I'm not crazy about that, but yeah, let's go with Google. I think that, you know, take the trade here. I think you got 20 cents of profit in that. All right, I think that's a nice, easy win for today. I would look for more trades, but it looks like this trade might be moving without me, so we may not even get in it at the right time. Other thing I'm going to look at is M15 gain. There's still Toast. Toast is looking good. There's still GFI. Let's check out the D1 over here. Not too bad. Not too bad. You can also search for high of the day breakout. So I know this stock is breaking up the high of the day, but I don't love that D1 chart. And W has been annoyingly strong to my chagrin on my pick here. Oracle, red hot. That's interesting. We were just shorting that the other day. Looks like it found some support in the gap. Yeah, I mean, it's not a ton. Let's look at WPM. Bearish HA continuation. This is not the craziest move I like. Yeah, I mean, it's actually really tough. I would have loved to get it on Google pretty much right here, this 1150 bar. This is the ideal entry. So to over here, just because we don't have a lot of room, you know, see how it goes. But here's the setup. I think if Google breaks through this level, we get a little bit of a retest and we're good to go. Then I'd feel comfortable entering Google long, provided that the market is still range bound and is still good to go. What's it called? If we actually get a trend day, then we might have some potential to add to Google, and we could maybe get some more size, get a nice price in on that stock. So let's keep an eye on that. But I wouldn't enter right now. We're at I think at a critical juncture in the market. Maybe I'll give a bearish pick just in case Google doesn't work out. I feel like that might be fair. So that's Google on the bullish side. Bearish picks today. I did like BMY earlier, but this is a pretty decent bounce. I'm not as crazy about it. And I like to see it below VWAP. CVS was looking, oh my God, like Ida just had an absolute gem of a pick. The CVS is just beautiful. I mean, that's good. That's going to be my short pick. It's just too good. Right, we have an excellent D1 chart. It's overextended, so again, we're not swinging this, so it's okay. But look how much it's reacted to this. Right, so if we find resistance over here at this level, then I would love to take CVS short. So those are your instructions for today. Those are the scenarios that set up. I'm going to give you another pick over here. Riven is not too bad as well. It's been parabolic earlier in the day, so again, wait for these bounces and then have an LRSI alert on these parabolic moves because they are going to retrace. That's not a great alert. So let me put something over here. Yeah, that's a little bit of a better trend line. So LRSI alert, again, we get a nice key bar, breaks through this downward or this upward sloping trend line. I think Riven could also be a pretty great short. Let me look at J&J quickly. J&J was also pretty weak, but again, some long green candles, some parabolic moves. A bit of a choppy stock. I don't love it as much. I think CVS is really your best bet because it's nice and grindy. Look at this move while the market's moving up. So if Google's still looking good later in the day, right? If it holds the bear cycle, then you can get into Google. And if it's not looking that great, then we can get in on CVS. So those are the picks for today. So I'm going to put Google day trade long, CVS day trade short. And that is it for today. So thanks everyone for listening. And we're going to take a look at how these day trades played out tomorrow.